I'm Michael Chipman, Lagree Senior Master Trainer, and welcome to the Do You Lagree podcast. Each episode, you'll meet the people behind the Lagree method, the studio owners, trainers, founders, and experts who share how they discovered Lagree and the moment they knew they wanted to bring it to their communities. We'll talk about the rewards and challenges of building a business and community around this powerful fitness method and the lessons learned along the way. Now, let's get to today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 11 of Do You Lagree? I'm Michael Chipman, and I am beyond thrilled to welcome a man who needs no introduction, especially to this community, the creator and founder of Lagree Fitness, Sébastien Lagree. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for doing the podcast. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the support. You know that.
Well, it's just an honor to have you. I've since I started this, I've dreamed of having you on the show, and it's really, really an honor. And the work that I do, I get to see the benefits of the company that you've built and the method that you created all over the world. And you've made such a difference in my life and so many other people's lives. And it's created an amazing community. And that's what this podcast is about. So I'm just really happy to have you here. And I think it's really cool that you're actually in Paris right now.
That's right.
You just finished this event, amazing event with 50 micros right underneath the Eiffel Tower on the Champ de Mars, and it looked like it was an incredible event. You want to just say a little bit about what happened there and what your plans are for the future with that?
We did the event yesterday. We have another event tonight, right sur le Champ de Mars. And, I've always wanted to do this because, Paris is kind of my hometown. And I've always wanted to do an event there, by the Eiffel Tower. It's such an iconic place. And so was very grateful that Virginie allowed us to use the lawn. And then you know what, man? We set everything up yesterday. It was a beautiful day. And then right at 7:00, 30 minutes before the class, guess what? Clouds start to set in. It's been like blue skies all day. And at 6:52, 6:53, it started to rain a little bit. I'm like, oh, fuck. And at first, it was just a couple of drops. And I'm like, okay, no worries. We can do a couple of drops, right? And then, no, it started to rain more. And then it got windy. And then you should see the sand kind of blasting over the lawn. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And people started to arrive. And then we all started to gather under the tent where DJ was, when Romain was about to DJ. And then it got so stormy and it started to pour so hard and got so cold. And I'm like, oh, man, And then Rachel's like, don't worry. It's going to just, first of all, she told me it was not, it was not supposed to rain. And then she's looking at her phone. It's like, oh, yeah, it's going to rain, but don't worry. It's going to stop right at 7:20. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then the electricity goes out, oh my God. And then so that's it, And I'm like, well, we're going to cancel the event. And then right at 7:30, boom, rain stops, clouds completely part, electricity goes on, and we actually started on time. It was just the weirdest thing.
Bienvenue à Paris. Bienvenue à Paris. C'est
merci, yeah. So we ended up having a great event.
That's great.
And it was just fantastic to use to do this event there with 50 Micro Pro. And got some great footage. Today I'm looking at all the people doing the workout, and how often you have a chance, to actually work out on that lawn, because it's forbidden to do events there. You need permission because they're very strict with the lawn. Like we had to be very careful how we position the machine. You cannot drag them on the lawn. You had to put a cover, then put the machine on top. They really protect that lawn, and so you can't really do anything you want there. So some people got amazing footage, great photos of them, with the Eiffel Tower in the background, and beautiful. You'll see like all the Instagram posts, some really cool stuff. But anyway, it was cool. A fantastic event. I'm very happy to do it. And it was like one big goal of mine, because there's a few events that I want to schedule in Paris, and doing all the lawn for me was a big dream of mine.
Yeah,
but not gonna lie, would love to come back and do it bigger.
Yeah.
That lawn could have 1,000 micros, and it would be great to put. Maybe Virginie's hearing right now. I was like, oh, but I want to come back next year
We'll
And
send
I
her
would
the
love to
link.
do, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I would love to do at least 300 or 400 micros because next year I want to start to get closer to 400 or 500 micros because my goal is to do 1,000 people per event.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about that. I was wondering if this was felt kind of like a full circle moment for you coming back. I mean, I know that you were born in Bordeaux, but you grew up in Paris, and so this is it. Really is your hometown in so many ways. And I was actually so the question that I usually ask people to start this podcast is, what is your Lagree journey? How did you discover Lagree? How did you find it? What hooked you, and what made you like want to open a studio? Most of the guests have been studio owners. And for you, I've told so many people the story about how you went to Hollywood and started teaching at the doing private coaching for a lot of the actresses and models in Hollywood, and then started teaching on a reformer. And then, but I want to back up before this, especially since you're in Paris. I want to just get a little bit more of the backstory of how young Sébastien got into sports and fitness and bodybuilding and weightlifting, and how it changed the way you walk through the world.
Well, I mean, when I grew up over here, first of all, I grew up just outside of Paris, about 45 minutes west of here, in a tiny village called Auteuil-le-Roi, dans les Yvelines, in the 78 arrondissement. And, man, I grew up, like ever the kid, didn't like sports too much. I was forced to do sports, like horseback riding. I used to horseback ride and swim and do the tennis, typical French stuff. And but I've always preferred to I'm introvert, so I've always been like to myself. I love to go and hike. I would used to hike in the woods all the time and play in the woods by myself. And then I love eating, man. I come from a family of restaurant owners, so I grew up a little fat. My nickname was Baba, for short for Baba au rhum. So I'm sure you've eaten one baba au rhum, right?
Yeah.
It's like a donut glazed in rum, and that was my favorite dessert. And it kind of looked like a donut. And then,
That's hard to
and then,
believe. Hard to believe.
ru- yeah, and then at age 13, I had my first girlfriend, and honestly, I wanted to look good for her, so literally just at 13, I started to run. And my mom was lifting weights, so she took me to the gym, and I started to lift weight. And I got really hooked on it because as an introvert, lifting weight really resonated with me. And then I became obsessed with weightlifting. And when I left Paris, when I was 17, I moved to the US. Then I became more and more involved in bodybuilding because there was not, I moved to the US, I think it was 1990, just around there. And, there was not much going on in France in terms of bodybuilding. It was just starting a little bit, but in the US, bodybuilding was already just like, more mature. So you had, a lot more information, supplementation, all that stuff. You had a lot of supplements in the US that you didn't have in France at the time. So I got involved into lifting weights. And then in college, I got involved with some modeling with through a girlfriend of mine, and I was doing like a lot of kind of fantasy modeling. This is kind of got the logo, right? It's like it was like a shot that I did when I was 21. And I was doing that, and it kind of gave me the idea of just like, man, I want to go to Hollywood and do what Arnold is doing, man. That's what I want to do. I want to just get all fucking jacked up and then just go to Hollywood and just do action movies. That's what I fucking want to do. That's it,
That's funny
And
because so many people have said you sound more like Arnold Schwarzenegger than like a French guy sometimes. That you
I
have more.
know, right? I know. I just like, just like, I have no idea. I probably watched too many of these movies. That's probably what happened. I know I
That's
sound
so
more
funny.
Austrian than French. I know.
Yeah.
And and then what happens? So I moved to LA, and then nothing fucking works out, man. I just I first of all, I moved to LA. I had zero money. I mean, I had maybe like a couple $1,000s in my bank account, and that was it. So moved to LA, and then started to book auditions. And everywhere I went, I kept getting asked if I was a personal trainer. It would be the producer, the director, cast members, and it's like, wow, you're in great shape. Do you personal train? I mean, I kept hearing this over and over and
Hmm.
over. I never heard that in my life at all before until I moved to LA. People stop me in the street, and I'm not kidding you. It was just, it's like a sign. Because with me, Michael, you have to understand that I listen to the universe.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe in the universe probably more than the average person. And I believe sometimes that there's little signs for you. And I just keep hearing that sign. So like, okay, next person that asks me, probably 30 days into it, next person that asks me if I'm a personal trainer, I'll say yes, I'm a personal trainer. And sure enough, someone just asked me, hey, are you a personal trainer? Yeah. So then I decided, okay, I have to train this person. I have to take that person to, I'm trying to find a better angle over here. There you
Wow,
go.
yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, next person that asks me, I'll just,
Say
train
yes.
about, say yes, exactly. And now I need a place to go. And I landed in this gym in the West Hollywood called Angel City Gym, which had a small private training studio in the second floor. First floor, they had a yoga studio and they had a studio for Pilates. And I didn't know at all what Pilates was. All I know is I needed to make some money to stay in LA because I was running out of money. And I mean, I was renting a couch for $100 a week. Literally, that's kind of the first,
It's the
well, the
Hollywood
first,
dream right there,
yeah,
living the
first three
Hollywood
or four.
dream.
I don't know exactly. Renting this couch for $100 a week. I mean, because I couldn't, because like fucking studio apartment was already like $1,400 at a
Yeah,
time a month. I'm like, I don't have $1,400. I got 2,000 in my bank account.
yeah.
I can probably last a couple months, and after that, I don't know what's going to happen, right? And so I just I went to the gym, and I go to the owners like, hey, I want to take my clients over here and then use your gym. And then the owner Ivan is just like looking at me. So he's like, okay, well, let's see what you know. So he takes me upstairs and I take him through a session. And he's just like, okay, yeah, you know what you're talking about. But listen, you don't have any accreditation, so you need to get personal trained. But I also I'm interested if you want to learn Pilates. And I'm like, what the fuck is fucking Pilates? So he takes me downstairs. He showed me the exercise. I see all these wooden machines, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm not. There's no music in the background. I hear people like whispering commands to each other,
Mm.
and I'm like, that's not for me, man. This is not my jam. I dropped the weight. I was like lifting super heavy at the time. I'm like, oh, that's not me, man. And it's like, well, people can make $100 an hour teaching Pilates. I'm like, $100? This is back in 1998, right? And I'm like, 100 fucking bucks. Then I go in the back, in the back of the alley, and I just see like Porsches and Jaguars and expensive Corvettes. I'm like, okay, well, this personal trainer is not doing too bad.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, whatever. And he's like, I'll train you for free. Well, not for free, but you charge me $1,200 for the certification. And say, well, I didn't have $1,200, you know. And he's like, don't worry, you can work it off. All right. So he started to give me, he said, you have your first clients tomorrow. Remember, I met him on a Wednesday at noon, and he's like, okay, tomorrow, Thursday, you have your first client at 5 p.m. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, just come
It's
at two
so funny.
o'clock.
I've told people that story before because I've heard you tell that story, and in France they're like, ah, c'est le style, c'est à l'américaine.
An
Cette,
American, yeah, literally. And I didn't know that what Pilates was. I didn't know that some people had to get trained for 2 years,
yeah,
but that's how it was done. So
yeah.
he was really anxious to get me to teach. So like he showed me a routine at 2 p.m. I kept rehearsing it with him. 4 p.m. we took a break. 5 p.m. I'm teaching that routine. I'm sweating balls because I'm like, I
Mm.
have no idea what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And the client likes it, about 10 sessions. And then I kept coming back every day and doing the same things. And within 30 days, it only took me 30 days, then he's kind of started to leave me alone. And it's like, okay, now you can just go ahead and just keep doing these sequences. And 30 days into it, the thing I noticed is that all of these clients that is giving me were actually going to the gym after the workout, right? So all these women do Pilates and after they go to the gym. And I asked them why, because, I was really intrigued. I said, we do a Pilates session, but why do you go to the gym afterwards? And they all told me the same things like, well, listen, don't take it wrong. I like how the session feels, but I don't think I'm getting anything out of it. And I'm like, well, there's no intensity. I mean, these routines that we're doing on the Reformer, on the Cadillac, they're not intense, but it's not the intense of the workout. The workout is about circulation, and it's about body alignment. And what we want to do is to strengthen the smaller muscle. We want to stretch the bigger muscle. It's a whole different approach to fitness.
But
And
you saw the machine, and you saw something. This is a question that I had for you. You clearly saw something in the machine that you could use all of the experience that you had in building muscle as a bodybuilder and weightlifter, that you could use that machine to create the kind of results and sculpt the kind of bodies that your clients were looking for, that you maybe couldn't do it in any other way. And so there was some kind of click that happened. And that's what I was really interested in. When did it click for you that you could use this machine, the movement of the carriage, the variable tension springs, to kind of create this, the Hollywood dream body?
Yeah, it was right away. When I saw the reformer for the first time that Wednesday, I asked Ivan right away. I'm like, well, let me try to say, where's no anything on the back of the machine? That was the first time, because I understand resistance. I love variable tension. I was using a lot of TheraBands at the time. So when I would bodybuild, I always had like TheraBands in my bag, and an ab wheel. So that would be the accessory that I would bring to the gym, because I used to do a lot of ab wheel, a lot of plank, a lot of wheelbarrow movements in between my sessions. Loved how it felt, loved the movement of the ab wheel. The torso track was also very big back in the late 90s. A lot of people doing a torso track. I had a torso track as well. Loved the simplicity of that machine. So when I saw the reformer, I was like, oh, that's a bigger version of the torso track. And instead of using this stupid fucking bungee, they had springs, which is much better for you. And right away, I asked Ivan, I was like, why don't you have anything on the back of the machine? And Ivan didn't really understand what I was talking about. I was like, what are you talking about? I said, well, you can work in counter resistance. And Ivan was also a bodybuilder, and he looked at me like, what are you fucking talking about? So right away, I saw the potential. So that's why after 30 days of using the reformer, I'm like, the reformer in its raw form was good enough for me to teach some lifting exercise, because as I'm teaching these movements every day, for 30 days, I'm suddenly understanding what it's about. And I'm right away, because my background is in bodybuilding. So for me, any tool is a dumbbell, right? I can turn a chair into a workout, apparatus. I can turn a suitcase. I can turn anything into a lifting weight equipment, because
so your mind, you had already looked around and seen ways to use just any kind of apparatus, any kind of thing in the world around you as a tool for building muscle, or for sculpting or toning, or for getting the results that you or your clients were looking for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because, you had the cables on the carriage, so you can do all kinds of movements. The only mistake that I made is, because my background is bodybuilding, that I taught every exercise by isolation, because that was how I was trained. So that's kind of taught for almost the first 20 years, right? It's only recently, probably the last 8 years, that I've changed the method, where we went from exercise by isolation to movement by integration. But anyway, so in those days, using the reformer, and because in those days, most women were not working out aggressively. This is back in the days where it's very still separated. Women do ballet, men lift weight, men do football, women are cheerleaders, right? Today's it completely changed. Women work out just aggressively as men, and men finally got the clue that, listen, you can't just fucking lift weight. You got to nurture your joints. You got to nurture your joints. You got to include, functional training, balance. You got to include, you got to work your joints. So everything has changed, which is perfect for Lagree, because Lagree, it's exactly this. It has that perfect mix of intensity and low impact. But in 1998, these women didn't want to lift weight, because they thought that if they did weight, they would get as big as Arnold. And I'm like, it takes a lot more than that, to get big like that. I wish it was that fucking easy, but it's not.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of hard work to grow muscle, and you really have to know your body. But anyway. So,
but by adding intensity to the movement of the carriage and to the resistance of the springs, and then adding anchor points on the machine, you were able to kind of bridge that gap and give women the workout that they wanted, and the more intensity that they wanted, without necessarily having to lift heavy weights or do isolation exercises. They were doing a lot more on the machine. That you had adapted to that use.
Yeah, the clientele that originally started Lagree, I think I kind of basically taught them to appreciate intensity and appreciate sweating and shaking, and know you're not going to get those massive traps and biceps. It's not the workout. Even for a bodybuilder, it takes years to achieve that kind of physique. And it's not just also about working out, it's the nutrition and all the therapies, all the recovery. Bodybuilding is truly a lifestyle. You have to know everything about everything pretty much. But anyway, so in those days, the first workout they did. So anyway, so I took them to this more intense workout. First of all, I asked Ivan, I say, hey, Ivan, you got these women. We're not very, I don't know if they're going to come back because, they all want to do Pilates, but because that's what they read that all the celebrities are doing, but they're not really getting the satisfaction. They're not getting the intensity. So Ivan told me, listen, do whatever the fuck you want, man. Just as long as you keep these people coming back and happy and you give the result. But okay, great. So what I did is I started to do essentially tried and proven bodybuilding movements. So squats, lunges, planks, push-ups, tricep dips, things like that on the reformer. And the reformer became my go-to machine because the reformer, I love all the Pilates apparatus. Only the reformer and the chair can be actually transformed into functional weightlifting equipment. Sometimes I'm thinking, I should add a chair on the back of the Mega because I like these vertical lunges. But it's only adding complexity, and so I've now kind of veered off and went into like a different direction.
Yeah.
But I was doing a lot of basically reformer, chair, and a base, and then we spice it up, top it off with cardio equipment. I mean cardio session. And it just took off. And then within 3 months, man, I was booked solid 60 hours a week. I was training celebrities. I was
Wow.
getting features on the local press, on TV. I mean, everything was just coming that way. It was just
Because there
instantaneous.
was something about the results that people were getting on the reformer with this increased intensity with the
Right.
movement of the carriage and the variable tension springs that was different than something that had happened before.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
was it
Yeah.
at that point then that you realized this is something special or something unique, and
No, because
I should?
no, because I'm so fucking dumb. I'm like, okay, now I can stay in LA and do my auditions, and that's kind of what it was for
Yeah,
8 years. It took me eight
yeah.
years to commit to the degree, because
Hmm.
it's not until 2006 I decided, okay, I need to. If it's still 2006, that's not true. 2006, I actually taped a pilot based on the fitness because I thought it was just funny because you have a lot of really well-known fitness trainers who are not at all, they claim to be very fit, but it's actually they're very unfit mentally.
Hmm.
They have a lot of addictions, and I just thought, wow,
Hmm.
it's such a there's a lot of hypocrisy in fitness in Hollywood, and I thought for me it was funny, and I thought actually fitness would be a great platform for a sitcom. So Matt and I don't know if you know Matt. You
I
know
have
Matt Richardson,
never
right?
heard this story. This is
Oh
crazy.
yeah. No, I have to find it. I have to find the pilot, man. I had fun shooting that, but I shot in 2006. And let me get my screen up a little bit right over here. Yeah, and I shot in 2006, and then after that, we couldn't get distribution, but it was a lot of fun to shoot. And after that, I finally committed to. I'm like, okay, it seems like this workout, this method is what I'm going to do. And then 2006, 2007 is when I kind of changed my tune. And then I started to become more serious about Lagree. But the workout had evolved so much, man. There was the first original version, which was taught at Angel City Gym, which was basically using apparatus equipment instead of using traditional weightlifting equipment. And then after that, what happened is I became very unpopular in the Pilates community. I became the black sheep because people say, oh, Sebastian has got people standing on the carriage, doing the lunges on the carriage, very unsafe. People are standing up, they're shaking, they're sweating. And so I got fired from teaching at that studio, and it became impossible for me because the new owner didn't like what I was teaching. He thought it was too unsafe. It's like, you're
Hmm.
not teaching Pilates, you cannot teach this. And then when I tried to go to other Pilates studio, people say, "Oh, you're Sebastian." You had people shaking and sweating because I needed reformers. I tried to
Yeah.
talk my method on the Gratz. Oh my God, terrible! The Gratz is a piece of shit machine, man. Oh,
Mm.
it's just like terrible machine. I don't even know why people buy that machine with
And is
this
that
fucking
why
leather straps.
is that why you finally created the Proformer? Is that why you just decided, okay, none of these
I
machines actually do what I want to do. I'm gonna
Not
have to
yet.
just okay.
Not yet, but it definitely built toward my dissatisfaction. First of all, I thought all the reformers were like the balanced body, right? But they were not. I realized that, and later on, I realized that Joseph Pilates only certified two people. I forgot
Hmm.
the name. Actually, one of them is still alive today.
Oh well.
But he only certified two people himself. Only two people got certified by Joseph Pilates himself. The rest got certified with, I think, Joseph and Clara and whatever. But only about maybe 11 people had kind of basically only about 10 or 11 people actually had studied under or in the studio of Joseph Pilates. And what happened when Joseph died, what I didn't know, is different people went different ways and started to build their own version of the reformer. So the reformer that I thought it was like a universal reformer, but it wasn't. They had like different. So you had Stott, you had balanced body, Gratz, have a bunch like that. The Gratz was terrible. I didn't fucking like it. And anyway, so I realized that for me, in order to continue what I was doing, I would have to open my own studio. I didn't have cash. So I went around and I go, okay, I have to be around Beverly Hills because where my clientele was, but I couldn't afford a studio. And so I decided to rent an apartment. So I rented an apartment on Clark Drive right behind the Ivy. And I decided to basically get an apartment with the biggest living room and bought essentially 4 Allegros, from Balanced Body. And that's where I started. So when I started to do that, this was Lagree 2.0 because
Yeah.
now I didn't have the chair. I didn't have the cardio equipment that was available at Angel City Gym. So I need to get more cardio. So using the reformer. So that's when really I started to work really on the method. And then I called Pilates Plus, right? At the beginning it was Pilates Plus because I was still using some Pilates movement. I was still teaching like long spine, short spine, things like that on the reform. And this is when I started to introduce EDM music. So this was the
Mm.
first time because
Mm.
like the first year I would listen like to because you have to listen when you do Pilates in 1998, there's no fucking music. Period.
Wow. Yeah.
You go to the studio, you hear elevator background. Okay, it's not what it is today. A lot of Pilates studios today are essentially using a lot of things at a
Yep.
Pioneer, but they were
Yep.
not using. There was no EDM. You're working on these fucking wooden machines. People are not sweating. You
Hmm.
talk to your clients. You do a couple exercises. You correct them. You go back in the exercise. You stop. There's a lot of coaching one on one. You stop. There's no fucking cardio. And for
Yeah.
me, I knew that because of the clientele that came to me, that they wanted to do basically a circuit training.
They
That's
wanted
what it is.
everything on one machine in 45 minutes,
Correct.
cardio, muscular endurance, core strength, core conditioning, all in one 45-minute workout
That's
or 50
correct.
minute.
But remember, like back in this was now 2001. 2001, I moved into this apartment and I'm teaching that. But you have to understand, how do I get cardiovascular out of the reformer? Because the reformer is not a cardio machine.
Yeah, no.
So now I'm thinking, okay, I got to keep this workout going because up to 2001, I'm not teaching the entire workout on the reformer. I had the chair, I had a pre-core, I had other equipment available to me. Now I have to get all of that stuff out of the fucking reformer, which the reformer is clearly not built for muscular endurance. So
Yeah.
what I do, I bring the body bar, I bring some dumbbells, I bring TheraBands, and I start to basically outfit the reformer to do a lot more. At that time, Balanced Body had the top engineer from Balanced Body, I forgot his name, come to the studio, my studio. And it's like, listen, we've been hearing about your classes all the way in Sacramento. I'm like, God damn, this is pretty cool. We're very
Getting
interested in how you use your
famous.
equipment, and we want to know how would you improve the reformer? And I go, first of all, man, you got to put the fucking platform on the front. So Balanced Body built a platform for the
On the
Allegro
back.
for me. Yeah, for the
Yeah.
front.
Oh, okay.
I asked them to do one for the back, but they didn't see the benefits to do
Hmm.
the thing on the back end. A lot of the ideas that I gave them for the pro former, they killed that. So I'm like, okay. So they built basically parts for the Allegro. They made, first of all, the wider platform. Like the wider platform on the front end was a game changer. It added instantly like another 50 exercises to my repertoire. So now that I had this like modified reformer with just a platform on the front, it became so much easier for me to make the class less fucking redundant, because the only lunge you could do on the reformer was the floor lunge. There was no, I was using the Allegro. There was no, you couldn't do the elevator, the escalator, not this, nothing on the back end, right? You couldn't need like, super lunge or anything like that. It was just a floor lunge. It became so fucking boring to teach on the reformer. I'm like, so now I
Yeah.
have a front platform. So now I can do the elevator lunge. Now I can do the escalator lunge, which made the class way better. And now people start to really come. The class became very busy. During those days, a lot of people don't understand that I was teaching sometimes 11 hours consecutive.
Amazing. That's insane.
That is grinding it out, because 11
Yeah.
fucking hours from 7 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. back to back. I only had 4 people.
Wow.
And I
Incredible.
wanted to make the money, so I was making $100 an hour, $125 a class, and
And the
7 a.m.,
classes were
8 a.m.
selling
all class.
out.
Oh, full. Oh yeah, I couldn't keep up. And
Wow.
I had a couple friends of mine wanted to teach, but I couldn't train them because I didn't have the time. Because if I put them on the floor, they're going to teach Pilates, and the client didn't want Pilates; they wanted what I taught. Every single time I put one of my Pilates friends teaching for me, the class would drop. Nobody would sign up. People wanted to do what I was teaching, but I was so busy, I didn't have time. So I had some people sometimes just sitting on the bench, writing down routines, and then it's like, well, you kind of figure out what I do, because I can't even fucking tell you, because to me it feels natural. What I'm teaching is like, if you ask me to teach you French, Michael, it would be impossible, because I know French. I'm French. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
because I was born in France and I've been speaking French all
Right.
my life that I'm gonna be a good teacher for you. It comes naturally to me. I didn't
Yeah.
have to study French. I can't give you the proper cues to learn French properly because I was born. So for me,
Yeah. So
fitness is the
how do
same
you
way.
break this? How do you break down this method that you've kind of invented
Right,
just by instinct to
right.
teach it to someone else to do? I mean, that's the hard thing.
Yeah, it literally it's taking me up until now. I'm redoing the entire degree academy because now I understand, the things, but literally it's taking me forever. Like when I introduced the 3 S's, that was back in 2020. I had to write down to people like, listen, people have to shake, they have to sweat, they have to get sore the next day. The
Yeah.
fact that I had to write it down, I wrote down in 2020, literally 22 years after I started the method. Because to me, it's so fucking obvious. Water is
Yeah.
wet. I shouldn't have to write down the water is fucking wet.
Yeah.
If you put your hand in a fire, you're going to burn yourself. To me, to
But it's
have to
but
write
it's
this on
but
paper is
Yeah,
crazy.
but it's something that's been, because I've taught, hundreds of certifications now, all over the world, and I've taught so much, and I've practiced for years this method as well. So I know what the method feels like in the body, and I've often wondered how you were finally able to articulate this, or if it was a conscious thing to know that by kind of turning the principles of bodybuilding and weightlifting kind of upside down, instead of going for explosive movement and as much weight as your body can do for 10 to 12 reps with like a minute and a half to 3 minutes of pause in between, depending on what your goals are, to not really worrying at all about what the numbers are of resistance that you're
So
using. I
that,
mean, and,
so
and then just keeping people's muscles under tension for a long time, and
yeah,
the different results that creates. Was that just instinctive, or something that you really
that was
sort of
practical.
discovered? It was practical.
It was practical because in those days, in 2001, in my apartment, I'm counting repetitions. And I'm like, man, it just sucks to count repetitions because
Yeah.
you have to synchronize everyone. So when you had 4 people, it was a lot easier to do synchronized swimming. Okay. But the reality is, I got kicked out of the place because there was an actress upstairs, and she got so upset that 4 women were coming to my apartment every hour. Some of these women, what I had Elizabeth Hurley,
Oh my
I had
God.
Yaga Reese, I had like some celebrities coming at the time. So I think
Yeah.
that also was hard for her to see all the celebs coming to my fucking shitty apartment, behind Clark Drive. She sees like
This is
limos pulling
insane.
in, and then there's like people,
Yeah.
and it's like people always waiting outside my. There's always women outside my literally my apartment.
And she was
So I
not
got a
having it.
call.
She was
She
not
was not
having
having
it.
it. Yeah. And so the landlord came and it's just like, Sebastian, I told the landlord what I was doing and he was fine with it, but he didn't realize I was going to be using the apartment all the time. And he didn't realize that the place was going to get crowded like that. So he gave me like a 6 months notice. So at that time, I think I'd
Hmm.
saved like maybe like $50,000, $60,000, which I never had that money amount in my bank account. I was like, oh my God, this is like, I never had that amount of cash. Up
Yeah.
until then, I was dollar. I mean, many times my bank account I had $2, $3. I mean, that's how I live
Yeah.
for it. It's like, to me to have $60,000, I was like, this is fucking crazy. I felt like, I was
Yeah.
so rich. And so get kicked out, and now I have to get a commercial space. So I found this place on Melrose, and literally that first week, all the $60,000 went out. I was
Gone.
back to zero. And so now I have this commercial space, and I have 4 people, and the rent is 3 times, 4 times what I was paying,
Mm.
and then I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be tight, with 4 people. And then, and now I had this much bigger space so I could put a lot more machines, but I didn't want to do that. I remember one time Eric came to me when I was, at the apartment where I had 4 people, and he would try to warn me against other Pilates trainer that would come, and the copycatting starting right away, and so you see those 2 girls right now. Yeah, they have a studio in Studio City with the same machine, the Allegro from Balanced Body, and but they have 10 people and they're
Hmm.
teaching you routine. And I told Eric,
Wow.
10
Already back then
people?
you had copycats,
Yeah,
even before.
yeah. Well, that's when I started to get the idea to make my machine. At that moment, that's what
Ah,
prompted
okay.
this. But I remember telling Eric, like, 10 people? I will never have 10 people. Never teach 10 people. It's unsafe.
Hmm.
And now you know the rest, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so
Rest is
so now
history.
I'm yeah, so now I'm at the studio and I see every single time I'm teaching a class with 4 people, I had a little bench and I always had like one lady sitting on that bench trying to get into the class. So I'm thinking, maybe I can bend my rule. I get a fifth machine. So I added a fifth machine, and right away that fifth machine took care of the extra rent.
Oh,
And I'm like,
wow.
wow, this is stupid. So I'm starting to start to do math in my head. Okay, what would my life look like if I had
With 10
10
machines.
machines?
Yeah.
Yes. So I bought another 1.6, and every single time I added more class, and I would basically add more people. And literally from 2003, February 2003 is when I moved into that space, the 8500 Melrose Avenue. And so it took me from 2003 to 2005 to build to 10 machines.
Hmm.
When I went to 10 machine, everything changed. I realized that the
Wow.
Allegro was not built to do the degree. Cables would get caught constantly. The cables on the Allegro, you had to adjust them individually. So all the time, I spent most of my class making sure the cables would not get caught on the
Yeah.
carriage. I had more people falling on the Allegro than any other time
For
in my
sure.
life.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's a 100-year-old machine. Like,
yeah.
it was an old machine.
Well,
So,
it's not that. It's just like I was creating a method that was
mm,
surpassing the machine. And
yeah.
that's when I realized at that moment, okay, in 2003, this is when I started to work on the Proformer. And the Proformer came out just at the end of 2005, early 2006, because basically the method I was teaching on the Reformer now was becoming unsafe, because the more I was teaching this method, the more I was doing standing exercise, so to kind of move away from the Pilates movement. And the timing came in 2005. 2005 is when I switched from counting repetitions, because it was impossible. When you had 10 people and you try
Oh,
to do
yeah.
synchronized with 10 people, it's impossible. And I'm thinking, what was 10 repetition? 10 repetitions is time. So I
It's
decided,
time.
what? It's time. So I'm going to use the stopwatch, way easier, and I'll do a minute per exercise. I think it's pretty good.
Hmm.
And then because we have, 2/3 of a lean body mass in the leg, I'll do 2 minutes for the lower body, 1 minute for the upper body. And that was the beginning. 2006, the
Wow.
Performer came out. That was the beginning of the very, very early version of Lagree Fitness. So that's like the
Yeah.
third iteration of the workout. First iteration is one-on-one using Pilates apparatus. Second iteration is doing 4 people on Pilates apparatus. Third iteration is doing 10 people on the apparatus. And the fourth is when the Proformer came out. So
Performer.
so Proformer comes out. Now I can do the stuff on the back end. And boy, right away, get
Game changer.
celebrities coming, and then more celebrities want to buy the machines. People say, "Hey, are you going to put us here in Beverly Hills?" Blah blah blah. Then I started to essentially realize that now with this Proformer, I could not only just teach a better workout, but I could start to license the workout. I didn't want to do a franchise because I didn't want to be locked into a way of doing things. And because I wanted to use the money from the license to continue innovating, right? To me, I realized that the change was inevitable. And so, but anyway, so 2005, I switched from counting repetitions to use the timing, and that changed everything, you know. And from there, now I'm timing exercises. Realized that it works way better, and it worked really well also with the movement of the carriage and the spring and everything else. And so 2006 essentially started to use the Proformer, and then the Proformer went through about 6 iterations. With each new iteration, I got a little closer to what you start to see on the Megaformer. And in 2008, remember I went to South Korea and Seoul, and I did a training over there, and then realized that the Proformer was simply not a machine that was great to ship around, right? The logistics around the Proformer was just too complex. I needed to ship a machine that was coming in parts,
Oh, okay.
and so I decided, you know what? And I was kind of a falling out with Randy, was the original manufacturer, because Randy was like, telling me there's no more changes, man. You don't understand. Randy was making all the money. The first Proformer you were making, you were not paying me. You were going to Randy
Oh
directly.
my
Because
gosh.
to me, because to me, it was not about the machine. It's about the workout. I
About the
didn't care
workout.
if we bought the machine. I wanted to continue developing the workout. And
Wow.
Randy told me no more changes. And you can't tell me this.
Yeah,
Don't tell
yeah.
me no. When you work
Yeah,
with me, don't fucking tell me no, because I push the boundaries. That's what I do. I cannot keep doing the same fucking shit over and over. I feel
yeah.
terrible for all those artists over there who have to see, keep singing the same song for 30 fucking years. Like the
Yeah.
wheelbarrow. I love the wheelbarrow. I don't teach a wheelbarrow anymore. I'm done with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Elevator lunge was a great lunge, but not anymore. I'm
I
so
know what you
over teaching the
mean.
same shit,
Yeah.
and especially when you can innovate and when you can create, use that. It's much
Yeah.
better for you. Use your new innovation. Fuck the past. Just it's about what's coming next.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear these details of how what Lagree is. Lagree, just to most of us who came to it so much later in the game, it just seems like this inevitable thing. Like it just
Yeah.
kind of has always existed, always had this high intensity, low impact. It was always music, but it was a very organic, gradual process for
Oh yeah,
you.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could just kind of skip ahead to the part where you decided to open a studio with the megaformers, like the one. I don't know if was West Hollywood on La Cienega.
Yeah.
Was that the first big megaformer studio?
Yeah. So what happened? So the Proformer was impractical to ship, right? It was like a 600
Yeah.
pound machine, 10 feet long. I was going to be very limited in the distribution of that machine. So I worked on the Megaformer. And so the first Megaformer hit my studio, I think it was 2010 or 2011, something like that. I did the first version of the Megaformer, which was kind of a hybrid between the Proformer and the M2. And I had that machine only for a few months until I went to the M2. I realized that the M1 was really not a good product. I had like a bunch of issues with it, and then right away, like for example, on the Proformer, you had the shoulder rest, right? And the shoulder rest doesn't work for Lagree. Every single time I see a copycat machine, like the Sculpt Former right now, the Sculpt Former is, I'm going to buy one. I'm going to show you how you cannot do Lagree, because they say, oh, it's an alternative to the Mega Former. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a piece of shit machine. Okay. It is my opinion. It's a piece of shit machine because you have the shoulder rest. So whenever time you see a machine with shoulder rest, you cannot teach Lagree. You
yeah.
need access to the entire carriage. So by the time I did the Megaformer, the M1, I realized, okay, the shoulder rest was a nuisance, but I didn't realize if it was a nuisance, yes or not. So what I did on the M1, so I'm trying to kind of get that, the thing, but there's a delay. Okay. I made retractable shoulder rest. And unfortunately, the retractable shoulder rest, the mechanism was not working. So in the end, I decided to just remove it and left 2 big holes over there.
Hmm.
Oh my God.
Anchor
This was
points.
anchor points. There you go. And I realized, oh my God, this is what I need on my carriage. Forget the fucking shoulder rest. I need anchor points. So when I made
Yeah.
the M2, so right away, this idea for a new carriage called, and that was going to be the M2. I made the M2 with the 2 eyelets. What a game changer.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yes.
Yeah,
That
because
was
then you can do
great.
things like the chest press, so much more upper body,
Yeah,
heavy pushing exercises. It just, yeah.
absolutely. So I get the M2 at the studio. I'm using it, and then I realized to start to get the M2, and then I address synchronized swimming was one of the first issue I addressed with the stopwatch.
Mm.
Then the anchoring point. When I dropped the shoulder rest, I discovered two holes over there. The anchoring point was great. And then I'm teaching class in 2011, right, 2012, and I realized, man, the next big problem for me, and this is where all the copycats, the machine sucks. The spring change is done at the front
Yep.
of the
Yep.
machine,
Yep.
and that takes an enormous time for to change, because at that time now I'm teaching more evolved routine. Love the M2, can do a lot more stuff. The M2 was more sophisticated, more refined, more simple machine at the same time. You could do the fifth lunge, the express lunge, all the major things, all the movement that people do right now much more effectively. But the change of springs was simply not satisfactory. And at the time, this is when I was with Carrie, my second wife, and I wanted to do a workout for Carrie because Carrie had this like fantastic body, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do and let's just say she had a great butt. I'm like, I'm gonna do a butt workout. So I trademarked the $1 billion butt. Okay, I'm like, I'm gonna sell you ass. We're gonna do great. We make a lot of money, you know. And so I created this machine for her. It was a bench with using the springs, and it had basically a little pulley for the springs because the bench is very short, right? And anyway, things don't work out to carry, but I decided I like that technology I developed, and I'm going to apply it to a new machine where we're going to change the springs not on the front
On
but
the
at the
on the
back of
back
the
of the
carriage.
carriage.
Yeah,
Game changer. Yeah.
a game
Total
changer.
game
So,
changer.
so the M3 came in, and the M3 is what most people refer to the original method. The
That's how I
M3
found it.
was,
Yep.
yeah, the M3 was the fifth iteration of the method because of that spring change. It changed everything. The quick change of springs just made everything. And then of course on the M3 I had more anchoring points. So now we have the anchoring point. We have the handlebars that I changed a little bit because on the M1, on the M2, on the Pro Former, you had to lift up the bar to pull it to put it at an angle, and that was causing a lot of time. So for me, when you work on the machine, if you have to interrupt the workout to set the machine, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you go for a run with a friend, and if your friend keeps stopping every minute because he has
Yep.
to tie his shoelace,
Yep.
adjust his belt, maybe he has to drink or something like, how many times is it going to take for him to stop for you to say, dude, are we fucking running or what? I hate
Yeah.
interruptions. I want the workout to be continuous.
Yeah.
So on the M3, there was a lot of breakthrough. First of all, we moved away from bending the bar. We had the bar with multiple handlebars, great. We had the quick release, fantastic. The carriage is now bigger. That got
More,
inspired from
more
yoga.
anchor points,
More anchor points,
the rounded
exactly.
rounded bars for more
It-
upper body
yeah,
options.
the M3 started to become way more of the mega former that people know today and what is
Mhm.
copied, and then the number of exercise was just like it was an explosion,
Yeah.
an ejaculation of fucking exercise, man. It was just like it was beautiful, man. I was really
Yeah.
proud. Now I could teach so much more stuff.
Oh
Clients
yeah.
loved it. And then the M3 started to really, by the M3, the M3 came out, the license really started to take off. This was
And that's
becoming
that's
like,
probably about the same time that you realized that, and I'm sure people were telling you this isn't weightlifting, this isn't Pilates, this is very special, this is
yeah,
something unique and different. And
yeah,
that's when you decided to create the Lagree method and create the trademarks around Lagree and the Lagree
absolutely.
machines, and everything shifted at that point, and it just
Everything
became this kind
shifted.
of
Well, that's when I
juggernaut.
that's why 2012 I think is when I trademark Lagree because I was using on them before. I and remember I didn't want to use my machine. It felt weird to me to call the Lagree method, but then I'm like, I don't know what method I'm going to call it because it keeps changing. It keeps evolving. But in 2013, I get the machine and I realize now it's really easy. And now I'm thinking, well, I'm starting to look at the method. And I'm like, okay, I want to push this, Now the studio was doing really well. I'm like, I wonder, with this machine now, I felt more confident that I could handle more than 10 people. So, but as luck would have it, the space next door to me became available. So I decided to just, rent that space. I broke the wall, and I went from 10 M2s to essentially 18 M3s. And that's when I started to do the large group classes. So
Okay.
18 machines. I was the first person in 2012, 2013 to do that. And now that I push the envelope, realize that when you almost double the capacity of the class, things have to change. So start to learn a
Yeah.
lot by having now 8 more people in class. And I realized, okay, if I want this workout to be more muscular endurance, if I want to have 18 people in class, okay, I got to further modify the machine. So the M3 became the M3S, the M3S became the M3K, the M3K became the M3X, right? And then I started to work more on the anchoring points. And then I realized too that, okay, still with 18 people, thank God now that I had the quick release, I can't imagine when my copycats have 20 machines and they change the springs on the front.
On the
I'm like,
front, no way. There's no
wow.
way.
I'm like, that gotta suck for those trainers, man.
Yeah.
It fucking sucks to teach on 20 people or more. And you have the spring
Yeah.
tapes on the front. It doesn't
What was
work.
your
It sucks for the clients.
when you were opening that studio with 18 machines back in the day? I mean, it just seems so inevitable now looking at it from the past, but were you scared about opening this big studio with all the expenses, or was it at that point were you
No,
pretty sure that, like, with the
no.
popularity of the workout, you knew it was going to be successful, you knew this thing was going to work?
Because I tell you why, because the whole time, man, I don't like how trainers are abused at studios. And I wanted to create an environment great for trainers. I wanted to pay my trainers as much money as I could, but 10 machines, you can't. 10
Yeah.
machines, you're going to pay your trainer 40, 50, 60. When you start to pay more than 60, it really cuts in your profit margin as a studio owner. And then, you can't just have no profit margin. Otherwise, what's the
Yeah.
point? And you can't pay your rent and things like that. So 10, it sucks. It really sucks. You cannot treat your trainers. Your trainers will leave eventually. So for me, I
Interesting.
had I had great trainers, and I really want to take care of my trainers back then. So I wanted to pay $100. I used to pay $120 with the 18 machines. My trainer was super fucking happy. Class with 5
Wow.
people all
Yeah.
the time. We were having 90 classes a week, all sold out. It was perfect. It was great. But then what
So there was
happens
there
in
was no, oh God, I hope this is going to work. It was like, the question was how, just how to put it all together, and so that you could
absolutely.
pay your trainers as much as possible to keep
Yeah.
them happy and to keep the workout as effective as possible.
Yeah,
And
because back then, I stopped teaching classes in 2008. 2008, 2009 is when I stopped teaching most of the classes and really focused on the licensing. And then I noticed a huge drop in the attendance at my studio. And then by then, now other studios were opening in LA, so now I had to compete against my own licensees. Even though I told them not to compete, let's all harmonize the prices, but nobody
yeah,
listened to me.
yeah,
So
well,
I had to compete against licensees, and I realized that okay, the my studio is only going to be busy if I have great trainers. But part of having great trainers is to afford great trainers. So that's why I
yeah,
went to
yeah.
basically the 18 machines, which worked out great because by 2013, my studio was packed all the time. Trainers stayed with me. I was the only guy in LA, paying trainers $100, $110, $120. So it worked out really well. I started to work more on the end, on the end aspect of the business. So everything was working great.
Mhm.
And 2013 is when I get divorced with Carrie. I was supposed to have access to the studio. She didn't let me have access to the studio, and I'm like, it's okay, I'll do the licensing. And then 2014, 2015, I'm doing the obvious stuff. And then I realized, man, I'm worthless. If I can teach on the machine, I'm fucking worthless. So then I started to, I met Danielle in 2013. Danielle wanted to open a studio. So 2016, we opened a studio with her, and it felt really good for me to
Was
go
that the
back
one
to the
that was
studio.
Mega Former West Hollywood, La Cienega? Was
Yeah,
that
La
the first one?
Cienega. That was on La
Okay.
Cienega. Yeah, exactly. So because at that point I was really happy to want to pursue because I'm like, I need to teach. If I'm going continue pushing this method. I cannot do it sitting behind a computer. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, all these copycat studio and or ex copycat studio owner who kind of they all direct the this is a cheap shot to all of those fucking copycats, counterfeit, all these people. You cannot grow a method sitting down in front of the computer. This is
Yep.
literally impossible. And you can't even ask ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini to do that for you because they have
No.
no fucking clue. You
Yeah.
need to be on the floor. You need to be with your clients. You need to be sweating with your clients. You need to see people falling off the machine. You need to see people hurting themselves, for you to really understand what you're doing and the implication of the
Yeah.
method. You need to be breathing it, you need to be in the trench.
I think that's so important because we talk so much about the machines as copycats, but it's actually the bigger issue is people who just they see a few exercises and they see a little bit more intensity, and that's the part that they try to copy. And it doesn't work unless they're actually on the machine doing it, learning it from the inside out, from the ground up. And I think it's one of the most powerful things about what you've created is that it has been from the inside out, from the ground up. Like
Yeah.
you've built this thing from just understanding how the body works into, turning it into this, into this. It's a combination of the machine and the workout and the teaching and the method of teaching, all of it together into one thing that's become this huge movement. It's really, really amazing.
I tell you, man, in school, in junior high and high school and stuff like that, terrible student, man. I only got A's in the classes that are like biology. I was A stat. When it was here in the US, I've done very well in biology and math and science because I'm a nerd at heart. I love that stuff. But I remember we had some time homework, and then I didn't do my homework, so I go in and just copy my friend. Every single test, copy, copy, copy. But when you copy like that, you don't learn. All you want is to have the same effect. But this is different. If you don't understand the method at the core, you can copy it. If you think that
Yeah.
Lagree is
Yeah.
express lunge because I created those lunges, or the wheelbarrow or the bear because I created the entire repertoire of exercise. If you think because you're teaching the same exercise on your copycats on the counterfeit machine, you're doing Lagree, you're wrong. Lagree is everything you don't see. It's the fucking method. It's the
I love
magic
that, man.
10.
I love that so much.
It's how you put stuff together. It's intangible. You cannot copy the method. You can copy an exercise, but it doesn't mean that you're going to do the method. And people don't understand that. My favorite example, Michael, is, I watch a lot of cooking shows and I love this competition. And we have 10 chefs and they're all given the same hardware, same ingredients,
Yep.
and then go ahead and make a dish. So everybody has the same equipment and everybody has access to the same ingredients. The only
Yeah.
difference is the technical know-how, the
Yeah.
savoir-faire. It's
Wait.
different. And the training and the cooking techniques. So they use what's intangible to create 10 different dishes. They had access to the same oven, same carrots, same
Yeah.
potatoes,
Yeah. Yeah.
same chives, same olive oil, same exercises, but somehow one dish is going to win the whole fucking competition. One
Yeah.
dish is going to win the heart of the judges. Lagree is exactly like this.
Yeah.
You cannot copy the method, and you can copy it because the method is continuing to evolve, is continuing to change. So today, it's a pleasure to watch the bloodbath between the copycats and the counterfeit. And by the way, what I love right now is China is going hard. China is replicating the Chinese manufacturers, okay, don't understand Lagree. They don't understand Pilates. They think Lagree is Pilates, so they put Pilates on everything because they think Pilates is basically the big buzzword today, which is not. And so what they do is they replicate everything without understanding. So the cool thing is I have my patents to protect me. All of the copycats right now are replicated. You can go on Alibaba and you can find your
Yeah.
favorite copycat machine for $1,200, $1,500,
And
And
the thing
it's poetic justice to see
yeah.
literally this copycat who started the whole thing. There would be no counterfeit without copycats. And now the counterfeits are replicating this copycat machine, man.
Yeah.
And nobody knows how to do the method. I've seen people doing super lunge on the counterfeit machine with one yellow spring. And I'm just like, man, this is like,
And
it's,
and this is what I tell people, that the every exercise that's on the Lagree Academy, there are years and years of practice and testing and research and thought and science and muscular knowledge and intuition that went into every single exercise that's on the Lagree Academy. And so when people ask me, like, can I make up my own exercise? I'm like, well, yeah, you can make up an exercise, but it's not going to have those years of testing and training. And so if people really stick to what's on the Lagree Academy, you know, that it's all there. It's all built in and baked in, and it's all, you know, the work that we do as master trainers, going out and teaching people the method in a few days, it works when people really trust what's on the Lagree Academy and the techniques and the method that have been developed over so many years.
The exercise that are on the Academy on Lagree On Demand is to fit the method. We only teach for the method. When sometimes people create their own exercise and they're not good. So to go back to the cooking show, you know, imagine if you had dog shit as an ingredient. You know, would you cook with dog shit? No, you wouldn't. But people don't understand that you can't do anything with dog shit. Okay. You know, and so when people make their own exercise sometimes on the Megaformer, they think it's Lagree. No, you created an exercise that is dog shit. It's literally not good. All these movements that people are doing, standing between the platform and the carriage inside the rails, they call it the well. That's dog shit exercise. Those are dog shit exercise. All your fucking well lunges are dog shit
I'm going to add a new chapter to my to my certification about dog shit exercises now.
When people do that stuff, I know de facto you don't understand the method. Funny. When I see some people doing the right cables, I get rid of the right cables on the Pro on the Evo Pro, because people are creating dog shit exercises. That's what it is. So because it's my method, it's my name on the machines now, I don't want people to do dog shit exercise. You want to do dog shit exercise? Buy copycat machines, you know, buy copycat machine and do all the dog shit exercise that you want to do. This is what copycats are there for. Copycats all do the dog shit training, essentially. And so very important to understand the method. And anyway,
I just want to, I feel like we could talk for like 3 more hours, but I know my producer has to go, and I kind of want to wrap this up, but I hope you'll come on next year. Yeah. Next season, I would love to kind of hear more about the progression of when you became a studio owner, because a lot of this podcast is geared towards studio owners and helping people understand what the pros and cons are. And I think the thing that you said about paying trainers, and one of the incentives for having more machines is to be able to pay trainers more, is so important. And I hope I think it's going to be really valuable for a lot of people to hear that, because I think that's not necessarily part of the calculus that a lot of people have. No. They're thinking about all the other things, and that's such an important part, especially coming from a trainer point of view.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be a big deal for people.
And if you want to, we'll do a part 2 when I get back.
I would love to, man.
Because this will tie into what I'm building in Utah, and I can explain more about the vision in Utah. And I think every trainer would love it. Would love where I'm going with this.
Let's do part 2, and I would love that. And you know, I'll see you at the summit in September, and this is going to come out right before that. So
fantastic, love it, man.
People will hear it, and you know, we'll do it. And just once again, you know, thank you for all of this, for what you've done, for the work that you've created. It's really changed my life. I mean, I'm living my dream, living in the south of France now, and who would have seen that coming? And to go around the world and see how this method that you've created is literally the way people are making their lives and supporting their families. And it's really a powerful thing. And
thank you.
And I think that the next, if we do a part 2, a chapter 2, I want to talk about the vision for the future. I want to see what's coming, because I feel like this has been a beautiful recap of like the past, the history of Lagree. Now I think it's going to be fun to talk about like what's next, what's coming.
Bring back supporting your families, because it's all going to tie into this. But I want to say one thing to you and the whole Lagree community. Thank you, because Lagree would not be where it's at without you and without every other master trainers and senior master trainers and every clients. I mean, it's just like if people didn't like the workout, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be able, and I would be given the chance to continue evolving, because I take everyone's involvement at heart. It's like my family. It's my second family. It's a very important family. And that's why, for me, I feel responsible to lead you in the right direction. And I want you guys, to have a fulfilling life. And I want everybody to make money. I want all our trainers, all our licensees, to make a lot of money, because what a dream to be able to make money at something you love. And then teaching fitness is truly a gift. I mean, you have an opportunity here to transform people's life. You're not just transforming the way they look, you're transforming the way they think about themselves. And when you change your perception about yourself, when you can see the true potential inside of you, man, in an instant, your whole life changes. And that's what I'm here for. And that's why I'm very thankful for you and everyone else in the Lagree community for helping everyone else out there to level up, not just physically, but to level up mentally, emotionally and spiritually. And I will talk more about the spiritual side of fitness in the part 2 as well.
Amazing, man. We're all in this together. I just appreciate it so much. And
thank you, Michael. I love you, buddy.
Love you too. Thank you so much, and take care, and we'll talk to you very soon. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Do You Lagree? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If so, please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to take your Lagree practice or teaching further, check out my book, 400 Lagree Routines, at chipmanlagree.com and on Amazon Kindle. There you'll find hundreds of classic full body, upper body, and lower body sequences to keep your workouts challenging and inspiring for many weeks to come. And please do connect with me on social media and my website for more conversations, tips, and upcoming episodes. And if you're enjoying the podcast, leaving a review is a great way to help others discover it. Until next time, be well, be strong, and keep shaking.